online notice. You want one that you get. Yeah. Want to encourage it. So yeah.
Session.
The last one, and
I'll bring it around. I promise I'll bring it around.
just about.
Yes, so just about, if you can hear me online, can you please let us know and let us know that you can see the screen as well for Barrett's presentation.
Yeah, because she is looking so
Let's seconds for them to let go.
and I think it's very disjointed.
Yeah, no, I can see it because I'm at the, which is great.
That he's gonna be lost.
Yes, all fine. Fabulous. So I'm going to hand over to Barrett.
I'm pretty, yeah.
I know you should kind of see the people.
So I'm going to hand over to Barrett. Barrett's going to have a chat to us about some of the new developments within Zenith. So again, we're looking at those efficiencies and getting that information that we need to be able to service our clients and provide them with some really information as well. But the last time Barrett came and did a session with us, a number of you came back and said, "Oh, I've forgotten that there was so much functionality in Mosaic. Like I forgot that I could do that." So this is a really great refresher, but also to show what else is
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
Hand over.
And, you know, or it always, you know, it's always the case that if you ever have any issues or any questions about Mosaic, please feel free to reach out. Always happy to help. So I thought I'd quickly start today's little quick update, just a bit about the business, because I figured, I know we talk in dialogue constantly to Darren and Matt, but maybe some of the rest of you haven't really heard what's been happening at Zenith, and there have been numerous changes over the many years. We're very much definitely growing. And so, you know, one of our first clients of Zenith, Darren and Matt, obviously very well advised about what we do in terms of the research side of things and the managed account side of things. But in terms of, you know, broader business changes over the last couple of years, so going back to when I started in 2019, we were partially bought out by a business called 5V. It was a really great time. David will talk about it as a really great learning opportunity for him. It gave them the expertise, the backing and the expertise to be able to purchase businesses such as ChantWest, which is, you know, the super fund research and data that you'll get access to now through Mosaic. They also have, you know, super switching tools available, as well as heuristics investment systems. So that was a consulting business. Damien Hennessy was running a consulting business for 20 years. Prior to that was CIO at HFPC. The key, I guess, benefit of that acquisition for our business was getting, you know, access to asset allocation services. So Damien runs our asset allocation advice in terms of, you know, the strategic asset allocation of all of our portfolios, but also looking at more shorter term views, such as what we call a cycle aware approach, looking at that 3 to 5 years, as well as more, you know, shorter term asset allocation views. So that's been a big part, big enhancement to our managed account and portfolio offering in our client base for our clients. And then in 2021, we were actually bought out by a business called FE Fund Info. So they're a big data and technology business based in the UK. Think of it as more Europe's version of Morningstar. So globally, you know, there's probably 2 real players in that data and technology space in financial services. That's Morningstar and FE Fund Info, where Morningstar has the lion's share, FE tends to be the smaller player, and vice versa. So in US, Morningstar is that big player, but in Europe, it's FE Fund Info. And so that acquisition came about. A bit of a reverse acquisition. Actually, we approached them wanting the Australian business, and they kind of looked at us and said, actually, we really like what you do, and we see some synergies there. We will buy out you. been great from our perspective in terms of we were already subscribing to FB Fund Info data through our Zenith Mosaic portal. So we were already using their data. So now we just get access to more data. Now they also provide data to other peers in the industry such as Lonsec. So yeah, we're all using very similar data from that point of view. But owning the actual data is a huge benefit for us. They also, specialise in a lot of fact sheets for fund managers and data feeds through their website. So, just getting access to more systems and more capabilities. So they're also, constantly acquiring businesses overseas, and we're always looking at what can we bring to Australia from that point of view. So, there's a few things happening over there that look quite interesting, and we're trying to think of ways that we can kind of Australianise that to benefit advisors. And so that's kind of been the journey over the last couple of years is, leveraging our resources from offshore. Today, so as Zenith, we're a 23-year-old business, got 90 staff locally. Through the FB Fund Info presence, we're, across 15 countries. From a managed accounts perspective, that's certainly been a part of the business that's been growing over the last number of years. We've run over $5.5 billion in funds under management on behalf of our clients. And actually, the majority of that, or 85% of that fund, is in bespoke solutions that we actually provide, similar to the likes of Integrity, where partners or our clients have a say in what's going on in portfolios, and we manage that bespoke portfolio for them. We've been running these managed accounts across 9 different platforms. And from a research perspective, we're rating over 1,000 products now. In terms of some changes, you will see we did announce a new hire for Grant Kennaway. Kennaway will be heading up the research business at Zenith going forward. Grant has extensive experience working at Lonsec and Morningstar, and the key his key role will be really trying to integrate the Chantworth research with the Zenith research, and how do we make it more digestible for advisors and for you to be easily able to use snippets and key takeouts for your clients. So that's one of the huge tasks we'll see. So hopefully, my hope is that we might lose the Apple ratings, and we'll all get to be one kind of common rating system. But at the moment, in terms of our heads of, Grant's not on the slide, but key people within the business still remain. So you've got Doug Higgins, who now is our head of responsible investment. That's really a big part of the business as well. We are the only research house that is B Corp certified. And so we really think about how does responsible investment, not only for your clients, what does it mean for them, but also us as a business. What is our impact to the community? Twan's our head of equities, Rodney head of alternatives, and Andrew head of multi-asset and fixed income. All been with the business a really long time and continue to do that. I think there's around 19 analysts in the team, so it is a really big team that are dedicated to researching new and interesting products. So just quickly on the managed account side, you'll all be probably familiar with the elite blends. No kind of or investing fully in active managers, but no fee budgets. We do a number of other off-the-shelf managed account solutions for clients. We've got the essentials, which is kind of that cost-aware approach. How do we build a portfolio by reducing the fees? And we understand advisors are constantly kind of looking at fees now. That's a key focus, as well as and so therefore we've also now launched a dynamic ETF portfolio across a number of platforms. And that's using Damien Hennessy's dynamic asset allocation views, but utilising and expressing that through passive ETFs. And then the customised part of the business. So we are across many platforms. I know you guys use predominantly NetWealth. We do actually. Why is it Lead Blends should be on the NetWealth, but you also we also do a lot of customised on that NetWealth platform. So in terms of Mosaic updates, last time we caught up, it was around the introduction of super fund research and data. So that is still there. I hope you guys are all getting access and utilising that. We have enhanced Portfolio Builder. So I'll show you a couple of enhancements that were recently launched. I guess the big launch was a couple of weeks ago, junctures. So if you're tracking or building a portfolio and you want to be able to track the changes that you've been making over time to your client's portfolio, you can now do that yourself in the portal, which is a great enhancement. The analysis within the Portfolio Builder tool has been enhanced as well. You can now, deep dive in a portfolio or at a fund level and look at what are the holdings that look like, but also how have those holdings changed over time. And I'm not sure if I mentioned to you last time, but we do have direct links to fund manager websites for PDSs, TMDs, and investment commentaries in our portal, so you don't have to go searching the website. And then fund surveys, we've made a few enhancements there. So I thought I'd just probably touch on mainly the Portfolio Builder changes and what was the other one? And then the exporting analysis of portfolio analysis and fund analysis also are probably a key feature. So I thought I'd probably touch on those two, unless there was any kind of real kind of requirements or requests from the team. Conscious that I'm between your lunch, so I'm trying to. I'll quickly show you a couple of those tools anyway, and then if you yell out if you kind of have any questions or touch on anything. So the first one I'll just show you is the quick export of analysis. So you can do this at a fund level or at a portfolio level. So for example, if I'm looking at a couple of portfolios, let's say, I might just quickly filter for a couple of filters. So flagship funds, I tend to always filter, just kind of eliminates a lot of those siblings. Zenith APLs, anything approved, recommended or highly recommended. I can filter for, say, managed funds, for example, and maybe let's go look at Australian shares. Now, if I click on a couple of funds here, as I kind of create my list, what I can do, so I've got my little short list up here now, 5 funds. What I can do is I can do an export function. Now, this is the new feature, the PowerPoint graphs and tables. So I can actually export a lot of the like returns, risk reward, growth of 100,000, those types of charts. It is a dump. So sometimes if there's not enough data, it might not kind of present, but you can see the growth of 100,000 there. I can see my returns charts. I can see a risk return table. That must have been enough data for those funds. Risk stats, rolling excess return, etc. So there's a bunch of charts and tables that were just kind of auto-populated, and just you can just do an easy dump if you're wanting to look at the data. Now the reason why we kind of created this functionality is while a lot of this data is in compare, so if I go into say the analyze portal here, this is where you'll find a lot of that data, but the feedback we were getting was it's really hard to export, which is true. Power BI. So that report was really to be able to give you guys the ability to kind of export some of that data easily without having to do snippets, etc.
So we have Power BI, Barrett, but does every subscriber have to have
Yes,
Power
everyone here will have this.
Oh, they'll get access to it through the pro.
Oh, no. So these report tables and graphs are all run like in the background by Power BI,
Right.
which means that
You don't need a.
They don't need.
no, you don't need it. No. It's more that while it's fantastic, one of what we've found, one of the downsides is the ability to like export into other programs has been challenging.
Yeah.
So what we would love is for you to be able to click on a graph and go export into picture or like,
It's your SOA.
whatever. Yeah, exactly. But so the PowerPoint was really kind of an ability to kind of bridge that gap. and kind of download some of those key graphs and tables that you'd most likely be using. So that is that functionality. The other, you can, so I've done that there at a fund level. You can certainly do that at a portfolio level as well. The other key feature, well, that's a bulk download by one export. So here you can see I can export that as well for portfolios. The other export feature that's new is this holdings. So if you're running some portfolios, what this does, it'll just pull out your list for an Xplan feed in. So we were having clients that wanted to kind of just quickly dump out their portfolio holdings, the APIR codes and their weights to be able to load into Xplan. So that's just a little feature that essentially it's just a very generic, very plain export that you can just use to upload your holdings into another program. So Portfolio Builder, we have enhanced it. So I'll just scroll down to say a portfolio that I've previously built. Let's have a look here. So portfolio junctures essentially enables you to be able to track changes that you've made to a portfolio. So on this page, you can't see that I've made changes to the portfolio, but what it's doing is showing you what the results or what the performance will have been for that portfolio, taking into consideration those changes that were made. Now, if I go to edit portfolio, you will then be able to see the junctures that I've got. So you can see now we've got a time bar up the top here. So previously, and when you set up, one portfolio, you'll just have the portfolio at that date. And then what you can do is you can add in a date. So you can say, okay, I'm going to add in a new date holding. I'm going to make some changes first. I'm going to remove a couple of funds, for example. So what leads me to, so now I'm going to reweight. So let's make this 10. And let's make this wait. So now that my weighting's at 100, now that my weighting's at 100, I can hit save portfolio. So now I'm saving my juncture. I put in my new holdings date. So I'm going to say I made this change in September back in 2020, and I'm going to say save. And then now I've added in another juncture. So what you can do is you can put your portfolio in, save it, and then add in a juncture, save it, add in a juncture, save it. And so when I go to look at my report, so now let's go back to portfolios. Now when I go to look at my report, it'll actually, so it's calculating. It's going to take a while. But when I go to look at my report, this performance is now looking at, okay, making that change, what does that mean for performance? So what you could do as well is, so maybe copy a portfolio. So you have the original portfolio, you could kind of make your change to the original one, and then you could compare them and say, okay, well, did that improve my portfolio? Did it not improve my portfolio? If you want to go to that level. But yeah, it's handy if you're kind of running your own models and you're kind of wanting to be able to track the true performance of your portfolio. It's a handy way to do it. It is end of month data, so you're not able to select an actual date. But it is kind of, I think that's kind of a good kind of estimate, good kind of, it's not like it's, it should still give you a good indication of what the performance will be. So that's the big enhancement that was released just a couple of weeks ago.
And then, sorry, you could look at the performance there at the date that you've just included a fund.
Yeah, so what you'd have to do, so you can't actually, so all it's showing me is, okay, what is the performance?
So like the longer term, so like the 3-year number might look like a different number than what, if you just had the portfolio that it is now, it would say, oh, well, here's the historic data, you would have achieved 10% per annum. But if you actually made a change 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You can then feed that into your portfolio to say, well, this is actually because that fund that had poor track record back then, but it's turned itself around and we introduced it here and it's only had a good track
Yep.
record.
Because the way that the portfolio builder was currently set was, okay, I put my portfolio and then it's assuming that I haven't made any changes,
Yeah.
right? This is now you can actually make the changes. And go,
Yeah.
I did make changes because, you know, you are going to make changes to your client's portfolio. So, so anyway, it's a new enhancement that we've launched. The other one I'll just quickly touch on is the analysis.
Sorry, and that's assuming the fixed percentages all the way through, isn't it? That period.
Yeah. So you can adjust the weights for
Yeah,
those periods, but you're correct. It's not like,
because things change obviously in between.
yeah. Not adjusting for that.
Yeah.
The other quick, what I'd quickly show you as well is just talking about that extra layer of deep diving on holdings. For example,
Ratings go out of line, like if you're managing it yourself.
so when I can compare funds, so for example, if I compare a couple of products, you'll notice that, for example, if I go compare, this takes us back to analyze. At an underlying exposures perspective, you can compare the exposures, which is great. This kind of really hasn't changed a whole lot, except for, we've got now, market segmentation factors and active share. But probably what I want to show, so this is comparing holdings. When you compare funds in Mosaic or Analyze, you're comparing them at a certain time period. When you look at a fund in isolation, so if I go in and click Analyze now, it's actually deep diving on the one fund. So you can do this at a portfolio level as well. And if I go to my underlying exposures, I can see what those holdings have looked like and how they have actually changed over time. So that's looking at the total asset allocation, which is probably more useful from a portfolio perspective. But if I'm looking at this fund, and like I said, you can do it at a stock level as well. This is a global equity fund, so it's obviously not pulling in the Aussie share stuff. You can see how the funds, the weightings, the stocks have changed over time. So the greater level of look-through analysis that you can do now at a fund level and at a portfolio level is, look, some of this stuff probably gets a bit quite technical, but if you love to get into the weeds, the data is here for you to be able to do that. So, you can even see the factor styles for the funds and how they've also changed. So there's lots of data here. I just kind of wanted to highlight it as it's something that's there, if you want to, use it or not. But often if you didn't know that was there, you probably wouldn't know about it. So
the most of the funds have the underlying holdings data.
Yeah.
Or,
so for funds we rate. So we collect obviously holdings for only funds that we rate.
Yeah.
Majority of funds will let us show it at a fund level. Some funds get particular and say, we don't want that being shown. Or small cap managers, really.
obviously, that's there, right?
But we are doing a review of that and kind of reaching out to fund managers to go, okay, are you comfortable now? Because a lot of it was done a long time ago. But when you build a portfolio, regardless if they allow you to show it at a fund level or not, it will still flow through.
Most of the fund managers, if you actually sit down with them and they're going through a presentation on what their fund is, they'll be like, oh, here's our stock selections and things like that. Anyway, they'll give you the stories. So
exactly.
It doesn't make sense for them not to share it or have it visible through this.
Yeah. But look, the general rule is that they're in our portfolios, client portfolios, the data isn't.
And if they're not on our fund profile section,
we can just flick you an email to obtain that, or how can we,
We can't
or
distribute.
you
the full
can't
volumes.
distribute it at all?
No.
Okay,
Absolutely not.
You know.
Well, we can only show
Yeah.
the top 10.
oh, yeah, sorry, so even if some funds that don't show that top 10,
Mm.
can we still request that from Zenith, or is that where we'll need to go?
Yeah. No,
So we
like,
don't want to see the whole profile, but, you know, some clients do like to see some exposure.
yeah,
I think most of the funds in our models, they do.
if it's a common fund that's coming up, let us know, because that's a great excuse for me to go to them. Hey, our clients want to see this.
Yeah, don't want to see the
Can
whole
you-
thing.
That's right, just the top 10.
Just
Can
that
you give
top
us, can
10.
you give us, can you let us switch on? Because it's literally a tick of the box at the back end for us to be able to display it or not.
Sure.
We have all the data. It's just
Yeah.
whether they're giving us permission to show it.
Yeah, 'cause it's-
So if
Yeah.
you are coming across funds,
yeah, there's a couple
let
that,
me know, because that's a
Yeah.
great reason
yeah, there
for
could
me
be
to then
some,
go, hey, we've got a client here that wants it, can you let us to switch it
yeah,
on?
there will be, so,
Yeah, send me through a list.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Will
Yeah.
do.
And then just finally, in terms of some of the new links, so I might have mentioned this last time, I can't really remember, but this new manager documents. So we do have direct links to the fund managers' PDSs, some of them TMDs, also the investment commentaries. That was for example. Let's have a look at this one. Here we go. Yeah, so PDS, TMDs, reference guides, as well as sometimes their investment commentary. And that'll be for funds that we don't rate as well. So that's actually one of the direct feeds from FE Fund Info. So that's been a huge benefit from us. So yeah, it'll just depend on what links, but we actually do have pretty good coverage of the funds in the portal in terms of giving you direct links to their websites and stuff for their documents.
Any questions at all? Anybody online? Lunchtime.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Good.
Barry. Really appreciate your time. And there's some interesting stuff in there. So if you do have any questions later on for Barrett, please reach out. In our feedback form, there is the question if you would like somebody to contact you. Please make sure you put your name, because the feedback forms are anonymous. If you say yes, I actually don't know who you are. So it's really, really anonymous. So please put that down. Other than that, we're about to take a break for lunch, and we'll be back at 1:15. And we've got Talia and Barrett hanging around for lunch.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
So we will see you back here at 1:15.
Just give one question.